Join Venus Castleberg as she teleports you to the Wonderland of possibilities, where we explore consciousness from the inside out to create a different world, where problems are possibilities and your point of view really does create your reality.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wonderland of Possibilities, where anything is possible and magic is real. As you know, yay, my name is Venus Castleberg, and I am totally thrilled today to introduce my guest, who's been a friend of mine for a long time. We go back in my early access consciousness days. It seems like forever ago. And she's also a certified facilitator. She's a conscious horse, conscious rider facilitator, and a talk to the entities facilitator. And really, truly just a gift in my life, and a gift of joy and fun. And I just always look forward to a good hug from Alison Cox. So welcome, Alison.
Thank you.
So why don't you tell me, I'd like everybody to know a little bit about you. From where did you come from in your childhood? Like, what was your childhood like?
Well, I thought it was pretty awesome. I grew up in the Midwest, in Michigan, in the United States, and I grew up with a lot of nature around. So in the parts of Michigan that I lived in, there was lots of forests and trees, and I had brothers, and it felt like there was always something or somebody to play with. And yeah, it was just a pretty fun childhood. I didn't really know that, I wasn't aware of completely like the adult world of any problems that were going on. My parents were super great, and they didn't really like show me that part. They're like, yes, go play. I'm like, I
will. That's awesome. Cool. Would you say that what would you say maybe was one of your biggest struggles as a child?
Oh God. Okay, now that you bring that up, I'm like, one of the biggest struggles was definitely like, I didn't know, now that have been doing Access for a while, and you start hearing these things about, what if you're aware? What if you're aware of other people's thoughts, feelings, and emotions? What if you're aware of when they like contract, or, you're aware of all of these energetic things? And growing up, I think I had the biggest problem with perceiving all of that contraction in other people's worlds, and the trying to fit in, and trying to even like figure out how you're supposed to be. So again, I was always usually like with my brothers, or like with my best friend, or always in nature around animals. And then the school thing, trying to engage in the same way with the people there was a lot different. And then of course, kids are kind of mean. So you'd run into kids that are always trying to prove like something wrong about you. And I remember like we were talking about a movie, going to the movies, and one kid was like, have you ever seen this movie before? And I was like, well, I'm not going to be cool if I say no, so I'm just going to say yes. And I'm like, yeah, of course I've seen that movie. And he was like, oh yeah, well, what was it about? And I'm like, good. And I got caught in a lie. And I remember my whole world crashing down, like, oh my God. And that was probably like second grade or something. So moving through like, I'll never lie again. Oh my God. And how do I be cool without lying? I don't get it. How do I fit in without lying? And so all these weird nuances of that, which started to make it so that it was pretty, I'd say the hardest part was like being aware of everything and trying to look and act normal all at the same time was really weird. It was hard for me to be alone in school, but so much ease when I was alone, even though I wasn't alone, when I was at home and doing my thing.
Awesome. Hey, Alison, what do you mean you weren't alone?
Well, turns out, flash forward to when I, again, found Access Consciousness, and especially talked to the entities, and starting to acknowledge like, whoa, I was not alone ever. I was aware of entities and energies and things that you couldn't see that were actually communicating with me.
Mhm.
So I would say that anxiety of not knowing, not being aware of what you're aware of, carried on throughout the whole time until I was in my early 30s when I found access consciousness, my early teens. Just kidding. And I found access and I was like, oh,
Could you
I'm
imagine
okay.
our lives if we had discovered access when we were teenagers? Jeez,
Yeah, totally.
so much better, so much easier. Let's just say it to be easier.
Yeah, it would have been a lot easier, definitely. Yeah. So flash forward, like I said, entities, I was communicating, or things were communicating with me. I didn't know that I had an ease of communication with entities. And then when you get around the thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and you're aware of those in other people and of your parents and of some of the entities and those things, if you don't know what you're aware of, it can be pretty overwhelming. So I'd say there was always a background of overwhelm, but also exploration and like, okay, well, that's annoying. And what else is possible?
Well, it's nice to know you kind of have that. You've always had that sparkle that I've always loved about you. So you're like, oh, you when you were a kid, you had that. That's really cool. So, well, awesome. But we chose a topic today to talk about engaging with the energies of your life. And I know for me, I'll speak for myself. I I have definitely better now and getting better all the time, but I have definitely been a withdrawer. So if like there I was, teased by kids or whatever, I would withdraw. Or I didn't want, to stand out in the crowd, I would withdraw. So I have a tendency to withdraw, and I know that I'm not the only one out there. um, but one of the things that I've always loved about you is you have this energy of always leaning in, and and maybe that's not always your case, but that's just the way that I perceive you. So why don't we just talk about, for you, what is engagement to you? What does it mean to you?
Well, I love that leaning in thing. And I just had a conversation with my friends the other day, and they're like, what is engagement? And I was like, oh, or what has it changed for you? Or through engagement, what have you found out about yourself? And I was like, wow, I always thought that I was always withdrawing and hiding myself. And it turns out that is not so. Like if I ask other people, sorry, I'll turn this off. Ask other people, they're like, what are you talking about? No, you don't. And I was like, what? Huh, interesting. But engaging is not only, I would say engaging is a level of presence and awareness and interesting point of view, allowance of everyone and everything around you, including yourself, even if it's good, bad, ugly, or other.
Or other. There is always room for other.
I don't know what that is. And hello.
Right. That's awesome. So let's do a hypothetical for you. Can we do a little play game here? Okay, cool. So if you were somebody who was in one of your experiences where you were withdrawing or feeling like you were hiding, what did you do to change that or do something different?
I would say that's been evolving over the years. Actually a long time ago, not a long time ago, but before, I would have actually I turned to alcohol to kind of lower my barriers with it all, because there was so much overwhelm. I was aware of so much, and didn't feel good. I didn't have the tool of who does this belong to, or maybe this stuff wasn't mine. I was just like, ugh, this sucks. And I really want to do this other thing. Like I do really want to go talk to people. I want to go out and explore. I want to do things. So I was like, well, this alcohol thing kind of makes me feel good. So I would use alcohol as a tool to lower my barriers and kind of allow myself to go talk to people. That went on for a long time, again, until my teens, when I found in my 30s. And I started having these tools of, literally, who does it belong to? Who are these thoughts, who do these thoughts, feelings, and emotions belong to? Maybe they're not all mine. And that need or that dependency on the source of alcohol being the source of calm and allowance for me started to disappear. Now I just drink alcohol because it tastes good and it's fun, whatever. I actually like it. But like that need for it started to disappear, and the exploring without a crutch basically started to be so much fun. And just practicing like saying hello to people, or I taught English in Korea, and that really started to shift things because I'm like, oh, well, I kind of just wanted to go to Korea. I don't know why, but now I have to facilitate kids or teach kids. I'm like, well, what do I have to be to do that? So I'm like, what do I know about teachers? What did my teachers do? How can I teach people? I would like extrapolate whatever I needed to in order to be the thing to engage with the situation I was presented. So I was like, now I am a teacher. All right, let's see how this goes. That really carried over into facilitating classes in access consciousness, training horses, like talking to people, starting a business in Denver that's pretty successful. And I was like, that's cool. You just get to allow yourself in or insert yourself into something you've never experienced before and just see what happens. Give it a go. And most of the time you'll find out that you actually succeed and you're pretty good at it, or something. You'll find out something about yourself you didn't know before.
That's awesome. Thanks for referencing that. I actually never realized that, but I was like, I was in my 20s, I was considered a social butterfly. I loved people and all that stuff, but I did a lot of drugs and alcohol. So as soon as I stopped the drugs and alcohol, I was just kind of like, I don't know if I like people. Like, so I'm like, oh, that's probably what changed. But then with the access tools, realizing, oh, I actually do like people, but having a different way of connecting with them. So,
yes.
So what are some ways that you engage with? Let's start with people.
Oh gosh, with people, so many ways. Number one, it's energetic. So all engagement starts with energy, whether it's people, plants, animals, a thought in your head. And so I thought I turned all this stuff off. It's so funny. So okay, so energy. Sorry, I got sidetracked. Energy. When you're engaging with people, before you go to engage with people, you're like, oh my gosh, you could go into all of the projected possibilities of the scenario of what's going to happen. So even if you think about going to the grocery store, if you're like me, I don't know if anybody else is like this, but you think about going to the grocery store and then you're like, and then, well, what time is it? Is it too late? Is it dark out? Do I have to park somewhere? I have to talk to a person to check out, but do I want to just go to the machine? No, I want someone else to do it for me. Like all these things, and like you go through all of these projected scenarios of what's going to happen before you actually engage with people. Where now I just practice. I'm like, all right, what's going to create greater, going to the grocery store or not going to the grocery store? Even if I die, would it create greater to go to the grocery store? All right, I'm doing it. But there isn't like a how. So then you just start with that energy, like, okay, I'm going to go to the grocery store. You could ask, I wonder what else is possible here I've never considered. Or you could just go and see what shows up. And then you'll start to meet people throughout the grocery store, like the person who's like in your way, like they're in the middle of the thing with their cart and you're like, don't you know that you're in the way? Like, oh my God. And so even through energy, you can relax and just start to see with your energy of how you're being. You don't even need to say anything yet. It's like, oh, am I starting to react to what they're being right now? Am I relaxed? Am I starting to get angry? What if I just relaxed? And if someone was in my way at the grocery store, I would just start to laser beam my energy at them or expand out. I would start to pull energy in a way that they would get to notice me. And that could be pushing energy at them. It could be pulling energy from them. You start to get to play with these things called energy pulls. We call them in access consciousness, or they're things you just do naturally anyway. All of access consciousness is basically to get you to know what you know and then amplify it. So I play with those energies, but if I hadn't really acknowledged that, I know that I probably wouldn't even like leave the house, or I would let that reaction be the real thing that I was functioning from, and maybe not even like try to get them out of the way or try to create something else. But through the energy pull, you can definitely start to shift their awareness of you and get them to become more present with you. So now you're present with them, they're present with you. Now there's more choice. You can be like, oh, sorry, I'll go this way. Or they could be like, oh, sorry, I'll move. Or they'll at least know you're there. And maybe they'll move, maybe they won't. But you created a different possibility of what could occur rather than aligning and agreeing with the no choice reality of they're there, so this controls my choice too.
Wow, that's great. A great way of dissecting it, getting it down. Like, but so, yeah, yeah, because we definitely do react to the world around us, and so this is a great way of going, okay, don't react. What's a different possibility here? What's a different choice here? Yeah. I love that. Thank you for that.
They're all just reacting to you too. So you taking off, it's like, all right, they're reacting either based on avoiding or fighting or who knows what. So you becoming the enigma of space is gonna get them to change their reaction.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. It's funny you use the grocery store, because I was like, I just realized that this morning I went to the grocery store and I was just like, I was so on a mission. I had very little time, you know what I mean? So there was not much acknowledgement going on at all because I was so focused on my target. Like, I got to get this done.
Was anyone in your way at the grocery store?
No, I think they actually got the energy of get out of her way.
Anyway, you will die. I'd say that's an engagement too.
Yeah, it is true. That's true. It's just a choice of like, how would you like to engage? But I was just like, I was a bulldozer. I was like getting it done. Awesome. And thank you for acknowledging that, because it's not wrong, right, guys? You're never wrong. How you're engaging is not wrong. We're just pointing out there are different ways to do it. So,
so many different ways.
So how has have you always kind of, well, not always, but let's say how long have you been focusing on like this engagement thing, like being engaged, not engaged, changing your engagement?
Well, specifically, so Gary Douglas had asked Sean Van Orden, Arthur Wood, and myself to do a telecall with him not too long ago called Engaging to Create Future Money. And I was like, when I saw the list of the people that were on there, I thought I just got asked to come on to like help organize something. And it was like Gary, Sean, Arthur, Allison. And I was like, yeah. I wonder what I'm here for. And they're like, no, you're on it. Like you have a capacity with engaging. And I was like, what are they talking? So I would say not very long. I've been talking specifically about this. There's capacities that we just, and everybody has a capacity to engage. There are things that you just be that you have no idea that you be. And those are the ones that you're usually like have the most capacities with. So I haven't, again, specifically been talking about it for too long, but now that I have been just over the last few months, so the last few months is the answer, but I've been noticing so many more. It's allowing me to engage in places that I wasn't engaging yet, and allowing me to be more present with things. And like not the number one, but the thing that's most exciting in my world right now is engaging with the thoughts in my head, because those are the things that are really, for me, the most limiting, because it's not the
Mm,
people that are
right.
necessarily the block. It's the
Uh-huh.
things that show up in your head about what the engagement is going to be. If you start to be present with, literally face and engage, allow the thoughts, feelings, and emotions in, and allow yourself to relax around them, you get to see that it's just a lie, and they start to shift and change. And then you get to choose, not based on those, but totally beyond them, and
Mm.
what actually create the future you're asking for.
Wow, that's great, and guys, I don't know if you caught it because I caught it too. It's just like she's actually like engaging might be a way of saying like looking at something or like just being present with it, just being willing to be with it, and that's engagement. It's not like now you got to go out and be best friends with everybody. That's not what we're talking about. Like
That's
we're
the opposite.
right, but it is that willingness to be like, okay, this either this person or this thought or whatever it is what's present in this moment, in this 10 seconds, and how can I be there with them or with it, I love doing these interviews, and part of that is, and I know that I'm super present, but that's because I'm really interested. Like, I'm
Yeah.
like, what are you doing? And like, but I'm like, that's a level of engagement, maybe a superpower that I have, like the ability to be present with people and really interested in them. But that isn't necessarily the only way we're talking about engaging. So I just wanted to clarify that.
It is a huge way, though. Like, the ability to be interested in everything is kind of like a kid in the candy shop with everything, like you are, is definitely is engagement, and is a huge capacity and will literally change the world. So thank you, Venus, for being so interested and curious about everything.
Thanks. I've been nicknamed the why kid. Like I'm just like, because I was always like, why? Like I just wanted to understand, like, well, why are you doing that? And what, what makes you do
Yeah,
that? And like so but who
I
knew
love
that was a superpower?
it.
That's cool. So how would you say engagement has changed your life?
Engagement has changed my life. Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, learning how to engage with through question of what I would like my life to be like has totally changed my life. I'd say before I started, I was curious about even being able to do that. I could only see like a limited menu of choices for what life could be. And I'd say right before I got into Access, I had done all these things. I was traveling the world. Like I was teaching English in Korea, and then like lived in Southeast Asia and India for a year. And I was like, and then I was like, okay, what next? And I'm like, okay, massage school. So then I took out a loan to go to massage school, and I was like, that crunched everything. And I was like, oh my God, okay, I just took out a loan. That equals, do I have to buy a house now? I'm like 30, I think I'm 30. I think I was 30 at the time. I'm like, do I have to like buy a house basically? Do I have to get married? Like, do I have to do all these, I was looking at the what else is possible options based on what I was engaging with so far. And I was like, that can't be it. And before I knew you could really talk to the universe, I just knew if you asked questions, even before Access, like if I didn't like this thing this way, this pathway, and if I didn't like this pathway, I knew something else would drop in if I just let it. And when I told that to a hypnotherapist once, and he fired me like the next day. He's like, you don't need me. I'm like, what? But this is fun.
I love past life regression. It's awesome. Like I got to do all these fun things. And yep. I was a hypnotherapist too, so I totally get it.
You did not know what to do. And so so in allowing those engagements with different possibilities has totally changed my life, because you get to explore the engagement with things you didn't know were even possible for you up until now. Like literally anything you can think of or can't think of, you just get the energy of you can ask for. That's an engagement with your future. And then you get to allow the universe to engage with you. And the more you're willing to receive from everyone and anything, then the more that starts to show up faster and easier.
That's awesome. So
Yeah.
would you say that you used that tool in that way to get the oracling? Because you oracle for access consciousness, right?
Totally. I feel like I cheated.
So whatever you guys do, don't listen to how she did this.
No. Well, I thought I was doing it. Well, I don't even know how. This is a good story for this. So years ago now, I was doing access consciousness. Things were getting greater. I was a certified facilitator, but still I was not making, I was always had like $1 extra than required to live. And I was like, okay. And one year, like you have prerequisites to keep your license. And I was like, in order to take the next choice of possibilities class, like at half price, I had to take the one that like following weekend. And I was like, there's no way I can afford this. Like this class is too much. I have rent coming up. I'm only making, I think I was making, I don't know, God, like less than $20,000 a year, like not that much per week. I had started a new business. I quit bartending. I'm like, this isn't working. Like what else is possible? So I was like, okay, literally, if this stuff works, I'm just going to ask and trust that it's going to do its thing, whatever it's going to be. So I was like, universe, what would it take to go to a COP with total ease? What would it take to have my facilitator's license with total ease and for the money to show up however it's going to show up? I'm like, all right, let's see. I'm not going to worry about it too much. And that's the like key part, like ask and don't calculate afterwards. And I've gotten way better at that. That just happened to be one of the times where I was like, well, I'm fucked anyway, so let's just see what happens. So I ended up going to my friend Ann Maxwell's house that next week or like the next day. And I was like, well, you know, we were doing energy work trades and I was kind of depressed. So I didn't really feel like going, but I asked, I was like, okay, what will my life be like in 5 years if I follow through with trading with Ann? And what will my life be like in 5 years if I don't? And even though like I was so like sad, my thoughts, feelings, and emotions were like, stay home. It would create greater to go. I'm like, all right, I'm doing it. So I drove a half an hour over there and we traded and we're talking and she started like saying like, gosh, you know, we really need more people, like Access is growing and we really need more people to Oracle and stuff. And I was like, I really don't know if I can do that. And I didn't even know what that meant, but I wanted to help her. So I was like, you know, how about I give it a try? Like, I think I type pretty fast. I am not a good speller whatsoever, but do you want me to like see if it'll work? Like, do you want me to help out? And she's like, oh my God, would you? And I was like, yeah. I'm like, oh no, what did I get myself into? Like, I hope I don't disappoint her. She's like, oh my God, would you? Like, the only thing, like, we can get you started training right away. And like, we can't pay you, but you can have the choice of, like, you can train on the choice of possibilities class next week. But that's it. That's all I can do for you. I'm like, are you kidding? I'm like, what the heck? Like, no. And my head went to like, oh my God, I tricked her. I don't deserve this. I'm a fraud. Like, I can't spell. Can't be real. Like, but it took all I could muster just to receive that. I was like, all right, I'm not going to listen to all this stuff. I'm just going to engage with receiving what I asked for, even if it showed up in a terrible way, even if I'm the worst person on the planet. I'm going to receive it and see. And if I fail, fine, they can fire me. And that was a long time ago. And now I oracle with Dane here and Monica and Gary and Access, and it's just grown so much. And I'm like, it took me even a few years into that of like, wait a second, I guess I am a contribution and I get to receive just as much, if not more, just by being me and engaging with all of the things that I can't see that I am, but people are gifted to by me choosing to engage with them and with Access consciousness, with whatever you are asking for. So I've never even told that story ever because I was so embarrassed that I really did cheat. Like it was a mistake. Up until probably just now.
I love it. Well, that was such a great example of guys like engage with the universe. Ask the universe, what is it that you really would like to have and let go of the how. But that is engagement. It's like being willing to ask and not know when, how, where, what. None of that is your job. So
Even if you're the worst person on earth for receiving it.
yep. So double dog dare you to ask the universe for what you want, or don't. But I wonder what it would create. Well, Alison, this has been such a great conversation. I don't want to give away all the yumminess. I know you have an upcoming class called The Gift of Engagement. Would you like to tell people about that a little bit?
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for this class, and I'll keep it short. But The Gift of Engagement, it's a 3-part telecall series with myself, Arthur Wood, and Sean Van Orden. And they also have like this crazy capacity with engagement that literally all 3 of us are like undefinable. And what I've learned from them so far like blows my mind. And what we can facilitate and contribute to you just get to ask, like, if I engage with this, what will it create in my life? What will my life be like in 5 years? And what will my life be like in 5 years if I don't? And it's just to literally be there, like to assist you in unleashing the engagement for you that would change your life and the world, literally. So that's it in a nutshell.
That's awesome. We'll make sure that we put a link in the comments just to find out more information about that. And Alison, if you could have people like walk away with at least one thing from today, what would you want them to get?
I'm like, follow your dreams. No,
we are saps, by the way.
I know. I love it. I'm like, thanks, Venus.
Yeah.
I would just say never give up, never give in, and never quit. Even if you already have, it's never too late to open back up the door for possibilities and go for it.
Oh,
Engage
awesome.
with yourself.
Engage with yourself. Wow. Well, thank you so much, honey. You were such a gift. Thank you. How did the world get so lucky to have you in it? And thank you, everyone who's been watching and listening. We look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.
Venus. Bye.